On a warm, sunny day in Los Angeles, a special effects team prepares for an evening shoot. Their work pays off with an artificial yet completely realistic bone-chilling downpour. Since the dawn of Hollywood, movie makers have attempted to recreate the elements to add atmosphere to their films.
Camera, action!
When a director calls for wind, or rain, or snow, it's the physical effects magicians who step in for Mother Nature. Coming up, on a dry street in Chicago, the effects team for the Hudsucker Proxy bring out the big guns to create a major snowfall. And on location in Los Angeles, the makers of In the Line of Fire drench a crowd of extras with an electrifying rainstorm. Today, we'll follow these weather wizards into the eye of the storm on Movie Magic. Almost every movie calls for rain, snow, or some other atmospheric effect. Unfortunately, the real thing rarely works for filmmakers. One man who ensures that nature acts on cue is special effects supervisor John Frazier. He's responsible for the mechanical effects used on a film set, including the massive weather-making equipment.
There's no way that a producer could schedule his movie around when they think it's going to snow or when they think it's going to rain. The other thing is that real raindrops don't photograph. That's the biggest thing. We have to use special heads on our rain equipment to get bigger drops so that it actually will photograph.
Even the earliest movies tried to replicate weather. In 1903, the Thomas Edison Company created this snow scene for a production of Uncle Tom's Cabin. Over the years, effects artists used everything from piles of salt to chopped chicken feathers to bleached cornflakes to make authentic-looking snow scenes. To create a downpour for such vintage movies as The Rain, networks of pipes above the set delivered showers on command. To ensure their raindrops would show up on black and white film, effects men sometimes added milk or chemicals to water. But some of the best-looking methods had severe drawbacks.
The big change in atmospheric effects in modern day is the fact that we have found that a lot of the chemicals and the oils that we've been using are hazardous to your health and also to the environment. Titanium tetrachloride, which we used consistently for making clouds, was banned totally in motion picture use. So we've just come up with different techniques. Now we use a high-pressure water system. We're using water at about 25,000 pounds PSI through small orifices to create fog. And that system has worked very well.
For this scene in the movie Cabin Boy, the effects team used the high-pressure water system to create the illusion of fog on the open seas.
Action!
Other advances in atmospheric effects are the result of efforts to save production time. In the early days, violent storms created for silent films such as Steamboat Bill Jr. were whipped up by noisy propeller planes. However, these proved too noisy for sound movies. Filmmakers needed a way to create wind and still record dialogue.
What we have here is a fan for making atmospheric effects. This tip right here was designed by Art Fritzen, who makes the blade. This is what cuts the sound out of the prop. The fan is powered by a 50 horsepower GE DC motor. It's a variable speed control, so we can give you a nice gentle breeze. Or we can run it up.
At top speed, these fans duplicate the force of 60-mile-per-hour winds. John has also helped refine another time-saving tool, the rain bar.
Here we go for pictures. Stand by. And
For this scene in director Danny DeVito's film Hoffa, John used a crane to hoist a 125-foot sprinkling system 100 feet above the cameras.
The reason we like the rain bar is because it gives you perfectly straight rain. And also, the higher up you go with it, you're also creating about the same velocity that rain would come down and hit. And it gives you a more realistic look.
That's the cut. That's the cut. Stop the rain. Stop the rain.
We'll set it up here.
Today, John is designing a rain sequence for the Clint Eastwood film In the Line of Fire. Although the movie is shooting in sunny Los Angeles, this scene is set in stormy Chicago. The task for John's crew is to produce a massive rainstorm for this evening's shoot. The water volume must be great enough to soak 300 extras.
This is like the premier rain bar that everybody likes to use. We started making them about 15 years ago, and you just keep making them simpler for camera time.
John designed this system to assemble in as little as 40 minutes, a factor that film producers appreciate.
You know, the easier it is to put together, the more they'll want to make rain. But if you make it difficult, then they just say, we're out of here, you know. So this actually goes together pretty well.
These are cams. They lock there, and this tie.
Assisting John is effects coordinator Rocky Gear.
They're over there.
I'll just swing the rain bar over.
Yeah, just swing over.
We'll look at the script, and we'll see the scene. We'll go out, we'll survey it, and in between the two of us, we'll decide which would be the best technique to use for this particular scene. The theory behind making rain is not pressure, but volume. So the more water that you can get to the rain heads, the better the rain's going to be. This is
8 rain heads designed by John to produce the largest possible drops are positioned along each arm.
And when it comes out of here, it literally will just go, these are not designed to go straight up. These will go straight out this way.
As John's crew hooks in support cables for the arms, the film's electrical crew positions the lights they'll need for tonight's shoot.
The whole key to rain is lighting. If it's not lit right, you never see it. It's like, you know, you can watch a football game, and you never know it's raining until they point the camera up at the lights. It's the same thing here. Unless it's backlit, you'll never see it. So they'll take some pains to make sure it's lit.
With the rain bar ready, it's attached to a construction crane with an arm that extends more than 10 stories tall.
And so I'll be out of the shot. That's why we need that much reach.
Crane operator Robert Crossan carefully hoists the bar into the air. Fire hose runs under the crane arm to feed water into the rain bar.
With rain, you have to have at least 30 feet of elevation. It gives it a chance to fall straight before it gets into frame.
That one right there, Ray.
The big plus of using the rain bar is that you can get the rain as much as, 100 feet in the air.
The rain bar is up and ready to imitate Mother Nature. To complete the deluge, John will need a flash of brilliance. In 1939, the first Academy Award for Special Effects was presented to The Rains Came, a winner over such tough competition as The Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind. To depict the damage wrought by a combination monsoon earthquake, the film utilized a variety of effects techniques, including an array of miniature buildings and dump tanks to flood several full-size sets on the 20th Century Fox backlot. The effects team spent a year preparing for the film's torrential climax. Even still, to simulate flashes of lightning, the filmmakers simply superimposed frames of white over the shot. For the rainstorm in the Line of Fire, John Fraser's team will employ a much more sophisticated and volatile technique to make lightning.
What basically we have over here are 2 lightning machines, and we put aluminum dust in it. It's the same dust that they put into paint for that aluminum look. It's a highly flammable mixture, but what we'll do is we'll shoot this aluminum dust into the air, and then we'll ignite it. And when it ignites, it just puts out this intense light, just like lightning.
The device is essentially a propane torch on top of a vacuum machine.
Okay, now try.
When bright flashes are desired, a small amount of the dust is released. It's sucked into the flame and explodes. This daytime test can only foreshadow the power of the effect against a black night sky.
It just puts off an intense amount of light.
With the lightning machine set up and tested, the effects crew run fire hose to connect the rain bar to a 4,000-gallon water truck. As extras for the film gather and the camera crew sets up, director Wolfgang Peterson reviews a test of the storm effects. Camera time is rapidly approaching. The crew positions the lightning machine to ensure it won't damage property, star Clint Eastwood, or any of the scene's 300 extras.
Quiet around here, please. Start the rain.
The one thing that you have to watch on a rain bar is you have to bring the pressure up gradually. Otherwise, what happens is that you could tweak the rain bar and possibly break it, which could cause, bodily harm.
The rain bar releases 750 gallons a minute onto the set. And when the shot is over, there's yet another advantage to creating your own rain: the ability to turn it off. While the extras dry out, the director checks a video playback of the scene.
The bottom part of the sign there. No, here, you see it right here. See that?
John, have a look. John.
Oh, this? I don't know. It might be hitting something in the video. I'll ask Michael. We should do another one. This lightning is much too sourcey.
To produce lightning that doesn't appear to emanate from an artificial source just off camera, Rocky Gear moves his machines farther away.
Action, go.
Then, to ensure that lightning strikes exactly when he wants it, director Peterson cues Rocky for each flash.
Rick, we're moving in for a tighter shot.
The second take is a keeper, but there's no time to rest. With a large cast and crew, every minute is expensive. The next shot is a close-up. To produce a downpour in a smaller area, the effects crew sets up a single rain stand. This portable rain stand produces enough of a shower to match the wider shots made with the rain bar. In the finished film, 8,000 gallons of water are used to make the storm scene a dramatic success.
Watch, this is horrible. It's a zoo out here.
It's real neat when somebody says that's the best looking rain I've ever seen. And that is nice. But, our job is to create these effects, for the producer. It's the self-gratification you get is you did your job and you did it well.
But rain is only one of the atmospheres created by physical effects specialists. The makers of the low-budget thriller, The Abominable Snowman, will need a blizzard to sell their story.
Well, we're doing a sequence in the film where it's supposed to be a blinding blizzard. And so the effects crew is going to be creating a very thick snow sequence. We're going to have snow on the ground, snow flying with heavy wind and fog all throughout the shot. And we have 6 actors who are going to be walking through the sequence, who are supposed to be up in the high country in a blinding blizzard, and they're stuck out in the mountains.
Basically, we don't want to do more than the camera sees. There's a little small window that we have to just insert pieces of white snow, just in the background.
But B movies aren't the only films that exploit the elements. Many Hollywood classics also rely on the bone-chilling effect of snow.
Hey, what's the matter with you? Look where you're going.
Christmas Eve in Bedford Falls, a pivotal scene in director Frank Capra's It's a Wonderful Life.
Help me, Clarence, please. Please. I want to live again. I want to live again. I want to live again.
At this emotional moment, Jimmy Stewart's prayer is answered by the most subtle of signs. Quite effective symbols for what is actually soap and fire-extinguishing foam blown by a fan.
Yay! Hello, Bedford Falls!
And those streets are covered by a combination of shaved ice, gypsum, and 300 tons of white plaster, provided by what the film's publicists called the largest special effects crew ever assembled.
Merry Christmas, you wonderful Billy and Lone!
Almost 50 years later, it's New Year's Eve in the Big Apple. This time around, it's actor Tim Robbins stumbling through a cold winter night. In a scene from the Hudsucker Proxy, filmmakers Joel and Ethan Cohen playfully salute It's a Wonderful Life. And that means snow, lots of it. Wrangling the flakes for this movie is special effects specialist Peter Chesney.
This big scene of snow was for Tim's, what we all called the walk of shame, after he had fallen from grace. This sort of, cold and bleak in the snow, Charlie Chaplin kind of darkness to it.
With credits on Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and Raising Arizona, Peter's company, Image Engineering, brings a scientific approach to the traditional methods of creating weather. Testing everything imaginable from styrofoam to crushed ice led Peter to a new snowmaking device, a web of liquid nitrogen hoses.
One of the things I've always hated with the fake snows is it doesn't melt in a close-up.
With the help of liquid nitrogen, Peter overcomes this problem by producing flakes of natural frost.
So here's my hand, here's the snow. The Coen brothers had a very specific look they were going for falling snow. We ended up going to the drawing boards and playing with some new ways to distribute it.
Using a computer, Peter designs a distribution system to deliver the desired look of fresh falling snow.
So there's the camera position. This is the center of the street. So you can see the scale of everything gets pretty big.
This system will be put to the test when the Hudsucker crew films their exterior scenes on the cold but dry streets of Chicago. Peter's plan will include 3 snow substitutes: shaved ice, soapy foam, and plastic snowflakes. Because of environmental laws, everything must be biodegradable, or something Peter's crew can sweep up and take with them. Peter's team first dresses the streets with shaved ice. Large blocks are chopped and fed into a shredder, originally developed to aid in the shipment of produce and fish. One drawback to shaved ice is that it melts, so the set needs regular applications to stay frosted. In fact, over the 3 nights of shooting, this shredder will process 280,000 pounds of ice. For the background areas, Peter applies a coating of white foam. This soapy, non-flammable mixture is used by airports to fireproof runways in emergency situations.
Up close, the ice looks better for walking on, but in the mid-background, the foam is logistically easier to cover a large area. I could do the same area that 5 or 6 guys are doing in ice. The other great advantage of the foam is it goes away. In other words, it's not a cleanup responsibility. It's biodegradable. The soap breaks down and it's gone.
For the snowflakes, Peter will utilize shaved polyethylene. This plastic is commonly used as packing material. Feeding handfuls into a wind fan sends polyflakes sailing. But to simulate snow falling from the heavens will require these bigger guns.
Fire one. Boom.
A dozen of these air movers are positioned on cranes at several points above the street.
We had, I think, 6 or 7 condors with 2 men per basket, boxes of snow, air hoses run up to the top, and then these nozzles that can point all over the place. You can play it like a garden hose and just spray the snow at whatever volume you want. You could dump a huge amount, just huge blizzards of it. And it looked like a light snow, even though it was a big blizzard, because it's based, like rain, it's based on lighting. An air mover is like a propellerless fan. They're 6-foot tubes that used massive quantities of compressed air. It's basically horsepower to go. You're getting a good 80 or 90 mile an hour breeze out the end. You just got to try to keep your clothes out of it, because once it's suck you right into the back end of it. We worked all night till dawn, got off dawn. A half hour later, it started snowing for real. We decided that the real snow looked fake. After looking at that was because the flakes were about this big that day, and you go, no way, that's not real, because they had huge wet snowflakes that if I did that, you wouldn't buy it if you looked at it.
All told, 60 boxes of plastic snow are pumped out to fill the night sky with falling snow.
It's sort of hypnotic to watch this stuff coming down, and it makes you feel as good as the real snow does. When the job goes well and people don't realize that it's difficult, that's what makes me feel good.
That sense of accomplishment is shared by the effects artists who seek to replicate the power and beauty of Earth's atmospheres. For all of us are affected, in the movies as in real life, by the forces of nature.
When you're making rain and you're making snow, it's really hard work. By the end of the day, you know you've done a day's work. But you stand back and you look at it and you go, yeah, that's beautiful, you know. Boy, that's really something.
Whatever element the scene calls for, in Hollywood, it's always possible to predict the weather. For neither wind nor rain, sleet nor snow, nor the lack of it, will keep the effects wizards from creating movie magic.
Watts, this is horrible. It's a zoo out here.
And the next programme in the Movie Magic series can be seen in 3 weeks' time here on BBC One.